What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Kick-Ass Podcast. We are here today to review WWE Clash at the Castle and take a look at what happened, what didn't happen in the future, in the near future, um, with some developments and a nice little interesting interview that we got from CM Punk, which is no surprise to me that he is making news from a media scrub while eating some dessert. So with that being said, my dog is making an appearance, so shout out to little Frida Kahlo. She looks like she's going to lay down now, so hopefully she keeps put. But as always, thank you guys so much for checking out the show, for downloading or watching on YouTube, whatever you're doing. I appreciate it. Feel free to follow the show on Twitter at @kickashpodcast_. You can follow me on Twitter at ASHMANNS as well. If you hear her, guys, she's working on getting herself comfortable and situated. I hope she does so momentarily, which she seems to be doing. It always amazes me too. Dogs are so particular with their spot of in their area of comfort and how comfortable they need to be, right? Like my dog, one of them, Kahlo, the pug bulldog mix, she has a thing with pillows. So she feels that anywhere there's pillows or a large pile of blankets, like if you're doing laundry, anything like that, that's made specifically for her. So that's what she's working on now. So just wanted to give a heads up if you hear some shuffling or anything like that. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna get right into the show because there's a lot that happened, a lot that went down, especially in the main event, which is no surprise. Of what actually ended up happening. I'm just surprised that they didn't pull the trigger on the title change. So I'm tempted on going straight to the main event, but I'm gonna hold off just because I have a lot of thoughts on that. So we're gonna just go in chronological order. It helps, I guess, with the flow of things, right? As well. Um, I just I'm gonna try to be good and hold off on comments until we get there. But with that being said, we're gonna get to the pre-show and take a look at a couple of things that I thought were noticeable and not noticeable but noteworthy from the pre-show itself. They broke it down, and I should, before I begin, shout out to Jason Powell at ProWrestling.net for the transcription and the breakdown of the pay-per-view, or PLE rather, in word wise. uh Shout out to him and the whole team there. They, I believe it airs. It's like a call-in type vibe on Monday afternoon. Normally following the whatever if it's a pay-per-view for AEW or a PLE for WWE. Jason Powell and normally Johnny Fairplay, but also Sean from Tennessee. Shout out Sean. He jumps on there as well, and sometimes even co-hosts as well, which is pretty cool. So you can get all that information at prowrestling.net. Then and Jason can do a much better pitch and sell job than I can, obviously. But I just want to give credit, as always, where I am reading from, because that takes a lot of skill and time um, that I just don't have. So I want to shout out the people who do and make it look so easy. So shout out to them. But the pre-show notes regarding the interview that Jackie Redmond did, and they broke it down into two separate parts. The first part that she did was with, of course, Drew McIntyre. They were sitting in an empty arena, which is poetic in a lot of ways, right? She noted that he recently resigned with WWE and questioned why he did when he's so upset by so many things in the company. McIntyre said he was considering taking time off, but he spoke about losing his sister-in-law and some family issues that he's having. McIntyre said he sat down with his wife as well, and they decided that, quote, "You don't leave when you're on a heater," which I think is it's a nice little tie between real life and character, right? You know, that it's very true what he just said there. And, I send all the well wishes and positive vibes, all of the goodness to McIntyre and his family. And his wife is having some type of emergency surgery as well. So shout out to her, you know what I mean? And all the best wishes, and I hope she's doing well, and I hope she's gonna, make it through successfully with no crazy issues or anything like that. No idea what it is. It's none of my business, right? But they mentioned it. So I just wanted to send some positivity out to her, and it sucks because wrestling is one of those professions where the guys and the gals, if there's a family emergency going on, 9 times out of 10, especially when you're in a position that Drew was in, right? With being literally in the main event in your home country, it's one of those things where last second your wife is having emergency surgery, an emergency situation, and he unfortunately couldn't be there with her. Obviously if it was, I'm not gonna speculate, right? But it just sucks regardless. I'm not gonna speculate, like I said, one way or another on the severity of it. Surgery is surgery. It doesn't matter if it's minor surgery or major surgery. Anything can happen. So you always want to be there with a loved one when something like that is happening. So and then to see the outcome of how the night played out, I sympathize with him so much. So just him mentioning that in his interview with Jackie Redmond, and then obviously he had the letter K written on his wristband, well, wrist tape, as he made his way to the ring later on as well. So just shout out to him and his family. It sounds like they're going through a lot. And I'm sure we all wish them all the best. But he did continue on to say that the roster is on fire and the matches and athleticism are on a new level. They provided additional footage from the interview for later on in the show, so we'll get to that obviously as well. The other thing that I thought was interesting as well, where is it at here? Where'd it go? Okay, so a little bit later, I believe. Oh, where'd it go? But there was also reference to um oh my gosh, there was a Roddy Piper. Oh yes, the Roddy Piper video package that it aired, and Peter Rosenberg was the narrator, and he acknowledged that Piper was actually born in Canada rather than Scotland, which I thought was pretty funny. It's just I just not something I was expecting to actually hear. It's just one of those things where, like Undertaker is from Death Valley, and like nowhere else. He's just from Death Valley. Um so yeah, it's just one of those things I just nothing major, but I was just like, oh, he's not. He's from Scotland. Like he's always gonna be from Scotland. But the other little tidbit that I thought was kind of interesting, nothing major. But they had a video package on whether fan signs are back in WWE. And they have various wrestlers commenting on them, and Damian Priest actually says the perfect time for them to bring it back. And they talked about some of their favorite fan signs. And it's just one of those things too, where it kind of with the vibe that Triple H is trying to create and trying to kind of guess hone and bring the product to for the future. I feel like it's kind of like a little bit of a mixture, right? Just kind of my early just projection and early judgment of it. He kind of wants to blend a little bit of that attitude era feel, right? And take all the good parts from it and blend it and mesh it in with all the good parts of today's product and the good parts of today's era and today's generation of wrestlers. And I think that's really cool. And I think that that's kind of what they're getting at here, for them to even make a video package and to have time dedicated to it for something that's completely out of their control, really. I mean, yes, they have the power to, if someone's holding up a sign that they don't like, remove it, right? But it's not like they're in control of what we as fans write and say on the signs. And a lot of times you would think that, and there's speculation out there that, maybe the signs annoy them for, like different production shots and things like that. Now, some fans are 50-50 and have mixed feelings on fans or on signs themselves, right? Because especially if you're like me and a shorter person, in the crowd, I'm like 5'4", which some people dispute. But I say I'm 5'4". Some people think I'm 5'3", but I say 5'4". Um, you're short, right? It's hard to see. So if someone is holding a sign in front of you, that takes up your whole view. And it's annoying when you're trying to get a good picture shot and things like that. But at the same token, too, you pay money and that person paid money to go there and cheer on their favorite person and to support their people. So, and they want to be seen, right? So I get it. It's just a necessary evil, I would say. You know what I mean? Now, don't be one of those people bringing out one of those huge fucking massive signs, right? Like just make it a normal sign, nothing crazy, and just try to be respectful of people around you. You know what I mean? But have a good time at the same time. I don't think it's like rocket science or it's anything like that, or should be anything to too crazy, you know? Um, but yeah, like I think it's cool. Like if they're trying to hype people up and get people excited to start bringing signs again, I think that's fun, and I think it's a nice little kickback and throwback to the good old days, right? The Attitude Era, and not just in wrestling, but just in general. Um, but that was another thing that wasn't anything too crazy that I thought happened on the pre-show, but for whatever reason, I just thought I was like, that's interesting that they're referencing and bringing attention to that. But moving on to the show itself here, gonna get right into it. They welcomed viewers and said that there was 11,391 fans in attendance. And hearing that number, I was like, wow, like that's nothing to shy away from, right? And props to them. But it just with what they've been doing lately, and I think the stadium shows, just hearing like 40, 50, 60,000, and even just 20, 30 some thousand in some areas. It was just a contrast, and I guess for me too, like I didn't really put much thought into it until the attendance was referenced. I just expected a stadium show, and obviously I didn't get to see all of SmackDown last night because I was working, but um yeah, it just whatever reason, nothing. And obviously, again, not saying that like they didn't do a great attendance. That's a fucking great number, you know what I mean? And I don't know how many seats they had available or anything like that, but for me, I was just like, wow, just 11, like okay. But on the flip side of that, those 11,000, what did I just say? 11,391 made it sound like there was 20, 30,000 in the arena, right? Um, they it's just I love the European fans, right? And I just love the international fan base, but especially the European fans. But I was gonna say too, like with that being said, like I'm not even gonna say this wasn't one of my favorite shows, international shows, because I think they're all different in their own way. But I did think too that there's just something not as up there with this show as compared to other shows. And I don't think that obviously the fans had anything to do with that. And I think they actually helped in a lot of ways. Um, but to me, overall, as a show, I think maybe a B plus would be my overall grade. But again, there's just something weird. I don't know. But getting back to the actual important part of the show, the matches themselves, we had Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. God, my allergies are crazy. I'm sorry I keep rubbing my face, guys, if you were watching here on YouTube. The allergies are just, and thankfully we've been having rain, so it's died down a little bit, but yeah, I don't know, just kicking my butt. But we had Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles, like I was saying, in an I Quit match for the WWE Championship, starting off the PLE. And I liked this. I liked, first of all, that Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles started off the show. I liked that they gave the main event, the actual main event, the last match on the show, to Priest and McIntyre, right? They could have, especially with how it ended up ending, they could have very easily reversed it and put McIntyre and Priest on first, have that happen, but they do run the risk, right, of just completely just pissing off the fans and deflating them for the rest of the night, which again is probably another reason why they had the card laid out the way they did. Um, but I still was in the boat of, oh, that means that's another sign that Drew is winning, right? Send the people home happy. Which again we're gonna be getting into that later, but I like I just liked that Cody and AJ went on first. Like the perception is and obvious that the WWE championship is the championship in wrestling in WWE specifically, you know what I mean? Now in wrestling as a whole is very subjective, but that's just the overall perception, right? But especially in WWE, the WWE championship is the end all be all. So with him opening, I just liked it. You know what I mean? And again, I guess that's probably not anything surprising, but it was just refreshing, I guess, in a way to see too. And gosh, the audience, speaking to the fans, like they fucking love them some Cody Rhodes. Like I wouldn't say what, maybe 90, 95% of the match, like they were just singing for Cody, singing like just any like singing his name, just any type of chant that they have over there that's favorable, they were singing to AJ or to Cody. And on the flip side, they actually started chanting "fuck you, AJ" at one point, which is great. I loved it, and AJ was eating it up. And I will say, guys, that this match, and as an I Quit match, this was one of the better matches that I've seen, I Quit match wise, in a while. I was very surprised with this match and I was really hooked. You know what I mean? Like the brutality of this match too, just from the start too, and the physicality and the way that Cody really took a beating, man. Like say what you want about Cody, with his suits and everything, like his pretty boy vibe and look, like that guy can take a fucking beating. He gets down there, he gets whipped, he gets bloodied. And again, that's another thing too. I love that WWE is not afraid to have blood again, but they're not obviously nowhere near close to overdoing it. And they use it in particular spots and in particular areas that makes sense, which in this one it 100% did. So that's another thing. But Cody, like he's just the guy, man. Like it's amazing that he's found a way in this day and age to make being a good guy and such a like a legit baby face, just not even like in wrestling terms, but like a baby face guy. Like if you were walking down the street and you just saw this guy in a suit, like you not maybe not even his jacket on, but wearing the vest, the button-up vest, his dress shirt, his pants, his shoes, the slick back blonde hair, like in this smile, like he just you would look at that guy and your first immediate reaction be like, oh, he's probably a prick, like, oh, like whatever, like he's just like relax guy, like just fucking relax, like you're walking down the street, like you're going to get you're going to get whatever, like diapers from the store, like you don't have to wear a suit, you know what I mean, just fucking wear sweats. But this guy, like you spend 2 minutes talking to him, like you just love him, and you're just like, go to sleep in that suit, man. Lay on the couch in that suit. Whatever you want to do, man. You're gonna wash your car in the suit. Whatever makes you happy. It doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? And not everyone can do that. And there's just a way that in the charm that Cody has to him that he's kind of grabbed everybody. And it's not just the stereotypical like women and kids type thing, like the John Cena vibe. You have grown ass men loving Cody. And I was out. What's today? Saturday? It was a couple days ago. I think it was maybe Wednesday. I was out at just a random grocery store and I saw a grown ass dude wearing a Cody Rhodes shirt, and it was a WWE Cody Rhodes shirt. You know what I mean? So it's just so cool to see. You know what I mean? Because of a lot of guys would, and a lot of probably predictions and assumptions would be like, oh, like he's gonna get booed, like people are gonna see it right through him, and there's nothing to really see through, and like I could go on and on about all the good stuff that Cody does on Twitter, but he he's just that guy, man. Like you see what he does, and a lot of times like he doesn't really mention it himself. Sometimes he'll be tagged or he'll just be responding to someone or whatever. But this guy, man, like you just you almost hate to love him because it's like, gosh, like it's like is there really like nothing like no ick to you? You know what I mean? Like, is there really? I don't know. It's like almost like a too good to be true type thing. And I think that's why if and when he ever does flip the switch and he turns on us, which is just so crazy to think about, like he's probably going to be one of the most hated wrestlers, maybe of all time, maybe even worse than Roman Reigns. I just think that he will have that ability and he'll have that in him to do everything that he's doing now, but to flip it and to make it just grind your gears and just make it eat at your soul, right? And just that smirk that he does and that smile, just you'll just like he'll make you want to smack it right off his face. You know what I mean? Like that type of vibe. Whereas right now, he's smirking and smiling and just, living it up and doing the whoa and crowd surfing, right? And everyone's agreeing with him and everyone's loving him. And it's just still so kind of crazy for me to see. And I think too, because I was at it was a show that AEW did in North Carolina. I don't think it was one of the Fight for the Fallen ones. I have a t-shirt of it. Maybe it was one of the Fight for the Fallen. I think it was. It was him versus, oh my gosh, now I'm going to blank on it. But, and I'm pretty certain it was that show. Anyway, long story, it doesn't matter, obviously. Long story short, I have a picture of it too in my phone. The fans are just fucking booing him and just hating his guts and saying "fuck you, Cody." There's a guy flicking him off right in front of me, and as I was going to take a picture of him, the guy stuck his middle finger up, and it's just the it's actually a really great picture, because you can still see Cody in the background, but it's just like it's the "fuck you," and it's just like the great. It's a great picture, um. But to go from that, and I think that's why I'm just still just like so in awe of the love that everyone still has for Cody. Um, to go from that into seeing this, it's amazing, and it's just a fun time to be alive. So that's my little soapbox moment for this show. I'll try not to go off on too many other tangents, but again, just it kind of gives you chills, right? And thinking of his entrance and thinking back on it now, like or from earlier, it's just man, like this guy just he has something, man, and it's so refreshing and it's so fun to see because it makes you feel okay for being so like I don't want to say in love with the guy, but it's like just so like invested in him, you know what I mean? And just so proud to follow him, you know what I mean? So I don't know, and you would think that he's my favorite wrestler, and maybe he is. I think it's tied. You know, I honestly think it's tied. Um, but of course, with this match, it was again fucking brutal. There was one spot that was really cool. AJ wraps a chain around his forearm, went to hit the phenomenal forearm, and Cody threw a chair at him, hit him in the head, and AJ went back, falling through a table that was set up on the floor outside. There was a moment, of course, because Mama Rose was out there that AJ was talking trash at her and in her face. She smacked him, I think, 2, 3 times, and he grabbed a chair, went to hit her. So that was pretty much Cody getting his revenge in that regard. Cody, of course, we went over the whippings and the lashings with the belt, right? And for whatever reason, every time I see Cody getting whipped, I think of MJF. From MJF flipping Cody. So it's just I don't know why that's my first thought. But yeah, of course there's no surprise here. The end of the match came when AJ Styles was in the one of the corners and Cody was going to throw the ring steps at his face or just go just like pummel him with the stairs and AJ said I quit. Um and that obviously was the end of the match, but with this one it was just really good. To me I was really invested in it. So yeah, if you don't watch many matches from this show, I would definitely probably recommend the opening and the main event. To be honest with you, like thinking back on it right now, Sami Zayn and Chad Gable is very good as well, in ring wise, and we'll get to that obviously here in a second. But this match had a little bit of everything, you know, and of course they went outside the ring and things like that. But you just go check this one out. I think it's about Jason reported at 27:45 minutes, so about a half hour. Oh, sorry guys, you know I have to stay hydrated with some good old Canada Dry. It's my go-to, guys. I it's on sale at Walmart right now. 24 cans for $9.98. Don't tell Publix because they want to fucking charge you $10 for $10 for a 12 pack. You gotta be out of your fucking mind, man. Out of your mind. I was like, what? We we were in there the other day to get some shit, and I was like, oh, I'll grab some ginger ale while we're here. Not for $9 for 12 cans. No, ma'am. I will drink my water from the faucet before I drink some ginger ale for $9 for 12. You got me fucked up. You know what I mean? And it's the fact that it's double the price at Publix for less than it is right across the street at Walmart. Make it make sense. Like I don't get it. And it's like it gets me heated, man. It's like a slap in the face. Like y'all know what you're doing, man. And I bitch about it all the time too. The buy one get ones. No, it's not really buy one get one. It's because they double the price there. So you're just paying what's $5 at Walmart is $10 there at Publix, and then they just put buy one get one. So it's the same shit. Same shit. It just but on the flip side, fucking love pub subs. I've learned that since I moved down here to Florida. Their chicken is actually very good as well. Especially like their little it's like the little chicken bites. Those are very good. And their fucking sushi on Wednesdays, oh, just prime. Prime. So Publix has a lot of great things about them. But their prices ain't it. Back to the show and the most important part, right? Not all my side rants. Um the next match that we had on the card, and this match in the main event, I was I was very surprised by. Very surprised. It was This one, I would just say I was just very surprised, flat out. And I'm gonna get right to the end here. It was the women's tag match. It was a triple threat. You had Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, your tag team champions, facing off against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. This one, I just I think I even in the prediction show, I went as far to say like there's no way they would take the titles off of Jade and Bianca. And sure enough, here we are living in a world where that's what happened. Now granted, Shayna Baszler is the one who took the pinfall. And it was one of those situations where uh Baszler was hit with a I think it was let me go back and see. Oh yeah, that's what it was. So Belair and Karga have performed their DDT and suplex combo move. Dawn grabbed Belair and suplexed her. Hurled, Fire held Belair's legs while Dawn covered Baszler and pinned her. So it was one of those things where the champions hit their finishing move. They pretty much got brushed out of the way. The other people came in, stole the upset, took the victory. That's all. That's normally what happens in triple threats. And to be honest, thinking back on it, I probably should have put more thought into that, the hometown vibe, home country vibe, whatever you want to call it, and then the triple threat aspect of it. I'm very surprised that they took the titles off of them so soon. I'm very intrigued to see what they do next with Jade and Cargill because I think it's still too early to break them up and to have them feud against each other. Like I was pegging them to at least go through SummerSlam, possibly to Survivor Series, maybe drop the titles there, Survivor Series, start some ship between each other, then lead to the Royal Rumble. One costs the other the Rumble match, then we get to WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Something to that effect. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know. I just I don't I'm gonna read what Powell had to say here. So he says a big upset. I guess this explains why Baszler and Stark plowed through Fire and Dawn on Raw. For those who missed it, Fire's mother was killed. Oh god. Oh wow. Okay, well that literally changes everything. So wow, damn, that's terrible. All right, so back to Powell's take. So he says, a big upset. I guess this explains why Baszler and Stark plowed through Fire and Dawn on Raw. For those who missed it, Fire's mother was killed a few weeks ago when she was struck by a car while visiting her daughter in Florida. I don't expect a long title reign but it's great to see them get this moment in front of family and friends, especially given this. Yeah, I mean, God, that's fucking terrible. Wow, man, that's no wonder she was so emotional too. Like that just obviously changes everything. And man, and again, changes and obviously like I didn't know this, but like in just wrestling wise, but man, like I'm happy for her. I'm happy for her to get this moment with her family and her country, and things like that. But that's so sad. My condolences to her and her family, man. That and thoughts and all that stuff. Like that's just it's rough. That's rough. But moving on here, the next matchup that we had on the card was Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. This match, of course, had the story going in on pretty much like what were Otis and Maxine going to do? Are they going to help Chad win the title? Uh, and and what's going to happen? And I'm not sure exactly where it was reported at, so my apologies for it. But I briefly saw, I think it was just like a brief something on Twitter that Chad Gable confirmed that he has re-signed with WWE, which is no surprise to me. But that's a good scoop for them and a good keep for them, and I think it's gonna light just a new fire under him. And this guy, man, I think it was the haluva kick at the end of the match. For whatever reason, the way he fell and the way he sold that kick was just beautiful. I actually went back and watched it 3 times. Like he got hit and then he just kind of turned and like his body was stiff, but not like an awkward and looked forced and fake stiff, but it was just kind of like just like stationary, like like to the side, and then just fell backwards. And it just my first thought when I saw it was like, this guy is. Are we sure he's not related to Kurt? Like, I know they did that whole storyline. They tried to do that story in the past, and it's actually Jason Jordan who's Kurt's son, and not Chad. But my goodness, man, like, I just looking at him. the entertainment factor, and yes, Kurt just had like maybe a notch or two, a little bit more, or maybe just a different side than, or like that side is just amplified a little bit more than Chad. That what we've seen so far. Now, granted, this can literally just be the beginning, and since he's resigned, there's like a new, like a rejuvenation, right? Um, especially for the side of him. But between that and just the stare that he gave Sammy and just everything at the end of the match, just like that, almost like that really, that almost like disgust, but like okay, but like really, look, this guy is just money, man. Like he's, I love what they're doing with him. I love this story. I love, I just love what he's morphed into. You know what I mean? I will say though, I kind of, there's just too many moments, like too many what if moments with Otis in this match, and to me, I'm just at the point where, bro, if you're staying with him, just stay. If you're not, you're not. You know what I mean? And I don't know if tonight was necessarily that solidification, like they're done, because there was a moment where Maxine Dupree. Well, there's two moments. Earlier in the match, Sammy, Chad Gable was pretty much like he had Sami Zayn laid out towards the middle of the rope, or on the middle of the rope rather, was choking him. Had, you know, Sammy had his arms on the rope, Chad was pushing him down, choking him on the rope, all the, you know, all that good stuff. Well, not if you're Sammy. Uh, the referee obviously is gonna count to 5, right, for the rope break. Chad backs up, has discussions with the referee. While the discussions are happening, he's pretty much, you know, like it was a setup for, because earlier he had the title that he gave to, left that most important part out. Right before then, he gave the Intercontinental Championship to Maxine, so she was still holding it a few moments prior. That happened while the referee was distracted by Chad. The whole point was for Maxine to strike, right? And to hit Sami Zayn and hopefully help Chad pick up the W there. But she didn't. She just held the title and she was like, you know what? No, I'm not doing it. Whatever. She didn't actually say that, but she didn't do it. So there's that moment, and then there was a couple moments where Chad wanted Otis to interfere and to help him, and Otis didn't, or he was debating it and going back and forth, like, should I do it? Should I not? And then a little bit later on in the match, Sammy, I forget exactly what they did, but pretty much Sammy threw Chad, and Chad pretty much like did God, what's like when you wipe out someone's leg, right? When they're like if someone's facing this way, their legs are, you know, obviously behind them, facing you know, one way. Person comes up from behind you, it knocks out the behind your knee, so you go down. That's what happened, and it was actually a really good sell job by Chad too. So Chad and Otis both stand up, and they're just like shocked, right? But it wasn't like it was almost like a natural reaction. And I liked that too. It wasn't anything so aggressive. Like Chad didn't go to strike Sammy and end up punching Maxine in the face, or spearing Maxine or anything crazy. It was just kind of like a leg chop, almost like. Um, but that being said, Maxine's obviously hurt now. So Otis has to pick her up and he takes her to the back. And that was, I don't think that's the moment of him finally turning his back on Chad and them being done with Chad and the Alpha Academy and everything like that. But to me, it's like there's just, we've seen it. I feel like every time that there's in a segment with them, like it's Otis is going back and forth, and it's like, dude, man, like just fucking pick a side. You know what I mean? Like I'm just at the point where, and I'm not over it. Like oh, this shit sucks. I'm like I'm frustrated with the story in the sense of like, come on, Otis, like just make your fucking decision and like see the obvious. You know what I mean? So I want them to pretty much wrap it up on Raw on Monday. I want them to have a segment in the ring where the Alpha Academy comes out with Chad, or Chad comes out first and he calls them out, whatever, and he pretty much draws a line, and whether it's him just directly asking Otis and Maxine where they lie, and the fans, you know, chanting or whatever, or if it's Chad having another match, like a qualifier match or even a rematch with Sammy for whatever reason. I don't think I don't think Sammy's going to grant him another one after this. I think he's going to have to do something to earn it. But for whatever reason, if there's a rematch or if Chad's in another match, there needs to be a moment where Otis has to decide and Maxine Dupree has to decide, or specifically Otis, whether he's staying with Alpha Academy or not, and if he's moving on. And just fucking make a decision, man, and move on. You know what I mean? Or stick with it and And don't be frustrated then. Like, if you choose to stay with the dude, like, all right, bro, like, you chose this shit. Like, you chose, and you know this dude's like piece of shit. Like, I can't feel bad for you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he does X, Y, and Z to try to win his matches or to do whatever. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with it at this point. If you haven't noticed, um, the next matchup that we had was your WWE Women's Champion Bayley defending against the other hometown girl, Piper Niven, of course, being accompanied to the ring by the wonderful Chelsea Green and the national treasure that is Chelsea Green. Like, this, this girl is just so. This woman is so good at what she does. I hope she I hope she literally gets her flowers. You know what I mean? Like, I hope she ends up winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think that's gonna be my early pick. I know we have Tiffany Stratton and all those, there's more serious routes we can go, and I don't even know if this is a serious pick for me, but I would make a lot of pushback and a lot of argument for Chelsea Green to win the Money in the Bank briefcase this year. Which has got to be coming up soon. Gosh, when is Money in the Bank? Um, the bank 2024. Yeah, July 6th. Oh my God, July 6th? There's no way. Is it really? Yeah, July 6th. Damn, that's crazy. Um, risky doing working. I mean, July 4th is, well, with it being on a Thursday, but I could see it, man. I could see Chelsea Green winning. We're not gonna get into that. I just think she's just amazing at what she does. So I gotta give her some love when I can. But this match was what it was. It was kind of what I expected. It was a good showing for both. I didn't expect Piper Niven to win, and this was one that I actually got right. There was a debut though. We did get a debut from a masked luchador who did look kind of similar to Chelsea Green, but couldn't have been the same person. This person had a mask on. It was a Rey Mysterio mask, so probably related to the Mysterio family. Maybe it was Aaliyah. You know what I mean? Maybe it was Aaliyah. Who knows? But she came out to try to help Piper Niven and to defeat Bayley and to distract the referee, to give the referee, help Piper out, and didn't work so well, which is unfortunate because earlier in the match, Chelsea Green was doing some shit or trying to do some shit, and she got kicked out. So I guess Chelsea found, thankfully, this wrestler who was backstage. Again, I don't know if it was Aaliyah or who it was, but there was a masked luchadora who looked very similar to Chelsea Green, but it wasn't. So we'll see who that is. And if they are in, I think that's a what is it? Corpus Christi, Texas on Monday. We'll see if the luchadora makes it over to Texas. But they tried too. So a lot of people tried, but it just wasn't in the cards for Piper tonight over there, last night for them, whatever it is. And Bayley did retain her championship. It was a very good match though. The Bayley to belly from I think it was the top rope. I think it was either the middle or the top rope. So well done. Um, and Piper, man, she's very good at what she does too. It's sad that it wasn't her night, but it's just too soon to take the title off of Bayley. And I think knowing you have Nia Jax waiting in the limbo for SummerSlam, that's just like a perfect match, Bayley and Nia Jax. You know what I mean? When you have the cards how they are, I think that's the match that you're gonna want to go for. So no surprise that Piper Niven didn't win here, sadly, but maybe next time. You know what I mean? I think this is gonna be something annual for them. So maybe she'll get it next year. But ladies and gentlemen, we had the main event. We had Drew McIntyre, your hometown hero, your hometown guy, facing off against Damian Priest, your WWE World Heavyweight Champion, for the said championship. He got a tremendous ovation. They had people with bagpipes coming out prior. All that good stuff, man. McIntyre made his way. I was seeing Caitlyn. Okay, that's her name. So his wife's name is Caitlyn. So shout out Caitlyn. I hope you're doing well. Um, yeah, she just underwent emergency surgery, so I hope she's doing well there, and best wishes. Man, tragedy is striking some people in WWE right now. Shout out to everyone. Stay safe out there, everyone. Um, Again, they reminded everyone that the Judgment Day members are banned from ringside. And honestly, guys, so long story short with this one, I'm not going to drag this out because the show is getting a little bit long. The matches was what it was, but I think in not to disrespect it, but actually to give it credit, I was expecting them to go out there and have a pretty hard hitting match. I'm not going to say it was like Sheamus and Drew level, but it was a very good showing for Priest, and that's why I was conflicted in my predictions because I didn't feel like it was time for Priest to lose the championship, but with all the cards and everything lining up for Drew, and what happened at Mania and just everything. Like I was like, there's no way that they can have this man go through everything and not put the title on him again, and they did it, man. They fucking did it. They had Damian Priest defeating Drew McIntyre in a little over 20 minutes to retain the championship. And it's exactly how everyone thought. There was a getting into it was a little backing up a little bit. And again, the match was very good. That's what I was saying. If you're gonna go watch any matches from the show, if you can only watch two, I would watch the opener and the main event. Um, Obviously for very different reasons, but I think Damian Priest is the real deal, man. And there was a nasty spot. Let's see if this is where it was. Priest had McIntyre in the top turnbuckle and threw chops at his chest before climbing down to the middle rope. McIntyre knocked Priest off the ropes, and I think that's where. Oh no, there was an earlier top rope spot. Yeah, I forget exactly what he did because I was kind of watching it as I was running some errands at this point. Mm. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. So Priest at one point had went for a springboard move from the middle rope and he had tripped. He somehow caught his right leg in between the top and middle rope and hung upside down while McIntyre then went and took shots at him. But I think that's where it happened. And he was selling his ankle injury pretty much throughout the match and limping, leaving the ring, and then he was limping in the press conference as well, briefly. Um, he said his ankle, I forget the word he used to describe it, but it's like pretty much, or it's like in hell, or I don't know, something to that effect. But he's not feeling great right now. He's gonna go obviously get it checked out. So he didn't stay too long in the media scrum there. But yeah, so obviously best and all the man, like that would be a huge blow if Priest is like seriously injured. So wishing him on the best for that. But this one ended how you thought it would. You know what I mean? There was a point where, of course, there was a referee bump. Priest had kicked. Priest stuffed a Claymore kick, but then McIntyre connected with one and got a long visual pinfall. A second referee entered the ring, counted two, and stopped. The referee was CM Punk. McIntyre got up and pushed Punk into the corner where Punk kicked him below the belt. Priest hit the South of Heaven chokeslam, sold his ankle, and made the cover. And the other referee, Eddie Orengo, returned to the ring to make the official proper 3 count. So there was a little video that WWE posted as well with CM Punk watching backstage and Jessica Carr, WWE official, referee. She was backstage as well, right near him, and he pretty much was like, "Hey, I need a shirt, I need a shirt." So she gave him a shirt. He went back there, and then there's another video. So props to them that was posted with him going back and pretty much. With the same shirt and saying that his catchphrase of he's the best in the ring, on the mic, on commentary, and now the best referee, something to that effect. But yeah, they actually did it. They actually had CM Punk cost Drew McIntyre the championship. It's with the dreaded indie move I hate the most, the fucking kick to the balls, man. Like it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Just everyone doing it and everywhere, every wrestling company, everyone doing it. It's just so fucking annoying. Like, can we just stop? I know we never will, but it's like, damn, like just do something different. Like, we get it. It sucks. um, but I still can't believe they did it. I still can't believe this motherfucker has gone into Clash at the Castle last year, went to WrestleMania, won the championship, was a champion for what 5 minutes? What is it? 5 minutes 46 seconds. Lost because of the Money in the Bank cash in. Came back to his home country, and is pretty much just like primed, right? He's in a great position. He's been killing it in the build here. He's like on a different level character wise. Just resigned with the company, which not that has anything to do with it, but just saying that because they've made it known on TV for Wise, right? Or at least in his sit down interview, and he loses again. Like he loses, and it's just so. And again, each time it's his character getting screwed, right? So it's just something else for him to gripe on. And I think Cole had mentioned like, oh, he, like, can you imagine what's gonna happen on Monday? Or like he's gonna be in, or I think it was Graves actually. He was gonna be like just incensed and just enraged on Monday and all this shit. Um, and in a lot of ways, I'm happy too, right? Like, I'm happy that I kind of got what I wanted, and Priest is still champion. It looks like we're going to be getting Gunther versus Damian Priest at SummerSlam, which is a very interesting match. But I'm going to give it time. I'm going to give them an opportunity to build and to cook that feud. They got a decent amount of time going between now and then. The Money in the Bank PLE sells itself. You don't really need a championship match on that show. Um, so I think you're pretty much solid between now to SummerSlam. I'm just and to be fair too, I thought the fans were gonna just lose their mind, but they didn't. Like they were definitely pissed off, but not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I just feel for Drew, man. Like I'm just like, what are they gonna do to make it up to this guy? And I get it's part of the story, but it's like, God, like I'm starting to feel bad for him. You know what I mean? I'm starting to feel like, yo, this guy can't catch a fucking break. Judgment Day was banned for the ring, but you got CM Punk and even Triple H. I mentioned it in the media scrum. CM Punk, it's a long way to fly for some anger. You know what I mean? Um, and I debated on say my comments or my feelings rather on my thoughts and my opinions on some of the questions that the wrestlers get asked at the media scrum, but it would be very obvious, and I ain't trying to sit here and talk shit to nobody, but let's just make sure. I'll just say, can we just make sure the questions are actually substantial and not just how do you feel about so and so or how do you feel about being whatever, you know what I mean? Just like, I don't know, you have a prime opportunity, bro. Like use that. And again, I'm sitting here and people have done amazing work. I know I'm not shitting on anyone. I'm saying is just utilize and capitalize that opportunity, right? Like with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching the show and checking us out here. I really appreciate it. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, whatever, wherever. I appreciate you as always. Again, if you want to follow on Twitter at @kickashpodcast_, you can follow me on Twitter at ASHMANNS. But until next time, guys, I hope you stay safe and enjoy some wrestling.